Welcome to a brand new episode of Snobcast. There's we'll address the elephant in the room, and the elephant in the room is that Steve is not in the room.
Yeah, he was very distraught when he
Indisposed.
found out about the MX, so he's in mourning.
He is in mourning.
Yeah.
And he's literally just been texting me all weekend, X gonna give it to you.
Yeah, so he decided to just party up, and he can't make it. He's not here. He might have gotten kicked out of this podcast.
He might, because it was way too much DMX, like fact sheets and things. What's wrong?
We don't have an ethnic song then this week.
No ethnic song, but we have an ethnic film. Kind of.
Okay.
So that's cool.
We'll take it.
Tom, before we invite our guest on, how you doing? You doing what? You doing good?
I'm good. I'm good. You know, I got it's a Sunday drink. You know.
Nice. I'm resorting to water today.
That's good.
And
it's a cleanse day
to stay hydrated.
I'm also hydrating too, so don't worry.
Perfect. Double fisting.
I hope I won't have to go to the bathroom during this podcast.
No, we'll be okay.
We'll be fine.
We got a great show for you today, and very excited about it.
I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait to see it too.
Be part of it.
To be part of this podcast. We have a film director on today by the name of Sergio Navarretta, and he has a great film out right now called The Cuban. It was just nominated for a bunch of Canadian Screen Actor Award. It's been nominated for a few of those. It was also in the race to be at the Oscars this year. And we're going to talk to him about the film, what it means to him, and also just, shoot the shit. That's what we're here for, right? Getting to know people. He's also, I believe he's a Canadian boy, so that's cool. Italian, Canadian. Tom, I know you watched the film over the weekend.
I did. I saw it. I watched it with my girlfriend. Very
Who did
good.
not cry.
Who did not cry, which is very surprising.
Very surprising. Very surprising.
It was like 1% away from crying. Literally 1% away.
1%.
Yeah.
So I think without further ado, we're gonna welcome our guest today. Please welcome to Snobcast, Sergio Navarretta.
Hello. Thanks for having me, Chef Tom and Gianni, aka Snob. I was sort of like apprehensive because I don't know what I'm getting myself into here.
Well, funny part is we just sent you 3 kilos of pasta, and we're gonna have an eating contest right now. Imagine it's something stupid like that. That would be horrible.
I love it.
The doorbell just rang. You should get it.
Any food from Montreal, I'm happy with. It's. Well, I assume you're both in Montreal.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. We're Montreal, born and raised. Are you in Toronto?
I was born in Toronto. I used to be in LA, and now I'm on Lake Simcoe. I'm 1 hour north of Toronto in the country.
Oh. So is that also the same shit going on? You guys are locked down?
Locked, man. We're locked down.
You're locked.
It doesn't change my life. I've been locked since March. I don't go out. So it's
March of last year. Yeah.
March of last year. Yes.
Yeah.
So from a creative standpoint, if anything, it's just affording me more time and space. But other than that, it sucks that we can't hang out, and I have no real objective or reason to go to the city. I don't know what it's like in Montreal, but I've been thinking about Montreal a lot lately, and I kind of miss the freedom of just going there and eating.
It's pretty shitty. Yeah. Our restaurants haven't been open here since October.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just takeout, and literally, it's a whole debacle here with the government and just restaurateurs and. But anyways, we're not talking about that.
We cook, so that's the same.
Yeah.
We're never gonna starve. Look at me.
No, we can't. Italians, I feel, are physically incapable of starving.
Yeah, no.
We can't. We won't go hungry. You can make pasta on a deserted island. That's fine.
So let me ask you two a question. I see.
Oh, sure.
In Johnny's background, I see a drum kit, which is very cool.
Yeah.
And in Chef Tom's background, I see a dude with hair.
You see me in high school, right there.
That's awesome.
That is, in fact, Chef Tom. It makes.
I really need to get that picture. I gotta take that picture out of there.
No, you should laminate it, make it
blow
larger.
it up. It's gonna be in our studio. Our studio is currently in my apartment. I'm renovating the studio next door. So eventually we're gonna, once we're allowed to actually have contact with people, we're gonna get it done in there. But for the time being, you get to see this incredible late 2000s afro.
Love it.
Well, I was drawn to it because I thought it was me for a second. I have that exact same photo. Same hair, everything.
The white polo.
There we go.
You know. Wow, look at that.
Look
I
at
love
that
how
guy.
open your
I know, right?
are.
I do that.
And you have
now.
no chest hair.
I would never be able to wear that necklace right now. It would be a disaster to take off.
Is that one of those
yes, it's from
Hawaiian
Cuba.
ones?
No,
okay, or Cuba. Oh, oddly enough, look at that. It's from Cuba.
From
Look at
Cuba.
that.
I used to go to Cuba every year for like 15 years.
That was you?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
man, I feel like I've seen you there.
Maybe could be if you were usually it was always Barcelo Solimar and Varadero. So if ever you've been there.
And the guy puking, it was Tom. It was
Yeah,
always Tom. The guy was always puking on the side.
The guy puking and getting stung by jellyfish.
Yeah. So, Sergio, congratulations on the film, The Cuban.
Thank you.
It came out like it was such a. Oh my god, what did I just do to my hair? Sorry. Oh my god, it's just getting worse. Anyways, the thing is, yeah. So I saw it in the fall of 2020. I seriously can't take myself seriously. I'm sorry.
Go the other way. Go the other way. There you go. You want me to put you backstage and we can bring you on? We'll get the hair and makeup.
I'm good. We'll get hair and makeup.
There you go.
Where did you see it, by the way? Not the hair. I mean the movie.
It was on one of those
Super channel.
Yeah. Yes. I was saying like HBO-ish something, and I had heard of it, and I knew it was on. So it was. I think I saw it in October, and I just and I'd heard good things about it, so I decided to watch it, and then it was very good. It was very touching. It dealt with dementia, which is something that just hit my family recently.
Oh, sorry.
So that's okay. Thank you. So it was kind of just. It was a beautiful film, and then I slowly, I started to follow you, Sergio, online, and I was like, okay, and then kind of see the journey of how the whole, even through a pandemic, like how this is going. And I mean, regardless of, let's say, press junkets or things like that, it's going pretty well. I mean, the film is almost critically acclaimed, nominated for a bunch of awards. So congratulations on that. And then we were lucky enough, your publicist was able to send us a link. So Tom got to see it over the weekend. And I know he enjoyed it as well, even though his girlfriend didn't cry. It's literally a competition. They try to make each other cry. Like
I'd be worried, man. If she didn't cry after seeing Cuban,
she was, you know what it was? I feel like at one point I was too drawn into it. I was too drawn in at the point where what was the son's name? Luis, was it Luis? That when he showed up, I have a feeling that my girlfriend was crying then, but I was too taken in as to what was going on, because every about 10 minutes I just do one of these. I make sure that it's all good, just to see if there's any tears. And I had stopped for a good 25 minutes period probably there, and that's probably when it happened. But I missed it. It's fine. It's okay.
It's all good.
Because then I have to pause the movie and we got to talk about it and we got to deal with it.
Yeah. So I mean, I've read through interviews that you've done, and we did some homework. Obviously, that's what we're here for. We're not just some podcasters talking shit. We're huge movie buffs.
That's why Steve's not here.
That's why Steve's not here. Yeah. No, but I studied film, so I mean, I love it. It's part of my life, and I mean, so you said in interviews that it's a very personal film for you. And I'm curious to know about that, because like I said, that's when I was like, is he Italian? Is he Cuban? Does he have liaisons there? So just tell me a bit of that history.
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, I'm Italian Canadian, but like all people, we don't really know where we come from, and even though we're super invested in our heritage or what we think is a lineage that we're connected to, then we do a DNA test and we find out that 10% of us is from the Middle East or whatever. So that as we know, being Italian means we're sort of like a collection of many cultures fused together. My family's from the Naples region, so Naples being a port town, there was people from all over the world going there throughout the centuries. So there's bound to have been some mixing going on there. And in fact, my name on my mother's side is Mastroianni, which is sort of like a made-up name, and Navarretta is kind of like misspelled. So if you're Italian, you get confused. They usually spell it with one R.
Mm-hmm.
The Latin culture, Latin countries and communities, they'll spell it with one T. So it's sort of I guess confusing to some people. But I think I know who I am. I think 2020 has helped me kind of clarify a little bit of that, who I am and what I believe in, what my values are, and where I'm going in the future. So I'm really proud of my heritage. It informs my work. I grew up, first of all, Italian was my first language. English was my second. I grew up very much thinking I was Italian until I went there and then realized I wasn't Italian.
Like, what are you speaking?
Yeah, exactly. And what are you eating? Granola bar, what?
Imagine them eating that there. Wow.
They don't snack. Like, they're all like, stick thin and they don't snack. But they eat huge meals and they eat dinner at 10 o'clock. I don't get it. But anyways.
It's because they're always walking around.
It's just a lot of walking. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, all that kind of like, I grew up watching Italian cinema. My parents maintained a home in Italy. So we were always kind of caught between these two cultures. And because of that schizophrenic displacement, it caused some confusion around. And without getting too deep into it, I got beat up too for being different or son of immigrants or whatever. So you start to feel like you start to get confused about who you are, and the last thing I wanted to do was get beat up every day. So you start assimilating and saying I'm Canadian. The challenge was that nobody knows what that means. Like, when you go to Montreal, being Canadian is something totally different than growing up in Vancouver, for example, or Toronto. But the way the Cuban sort of was personal to me is my dad, who came here with nothing, started in the labor movement, became sort of like legendary in the union movements and the labor movement. And then at 71, he passed away suddenly. So that was a shock in my life. So whatever I was doing at that time, I had to revisit. And I was working on a huge animation movie. And I just said, I got to do a deep dive into something more meaningful and personal and get back in the director's chair. And that's really where it started. So it started off as a short film and then evolved into a feature film.
Okay.
It incorporated a lot of personal things like the Cuban thing and Alzheimer's. I mean, it's all, when I look at the film, it's cathartic in so many ways and therapeutic. It helped me deal with some things that I was dealing with in my personal life. So
yeah. Wow.
Not the red dress, but everything.
Not the red dress. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess the best feature films are the ones that are personal and the ones that people and also that people can relate to, because that's what we look for in cinema, right? Like, we want to be taken away for the 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But we also want to be able to relate to something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At the same time, for me, when I first came across the film, I was like, I didn't know it was Canadian until you start watching the opening credits and you have Canadian this, Canadian that, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, this film's called The Cuban. I'm like, what? So then you go and you do the research but a lot of so the film was shot in Toronto, if I'm correct.
Outside of Toronto, in a suburb in Brantford, Ontario, and Paris, Ontario. Yeah.
So I mean, already there, so I want to touch on the cast, because you have Anna Golja, who's like incredible in the film, and she's what, like 24 or like 23.
Yeah.
Super young, but then you're working with like legends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Louis Gossett Jr., who's an Oscar winner.
Yeah.
And of course, I have to say it right now. Shohreh Aghdashloo.
You got it.
Woo!
She.
Tom has a tidbit about that.
First of all, what a great voice.
Oh,
She
yeah.
has the world. She has the kind of voice that if ever you need to cast somebody to be like Mother Nature or
Yeah.
to be some sort of like deity, she
Yes.
would kill it. Kill it. She has such a captivating voice.
Yes, and the thing, like, I met her 10 years ago. It was at this sort of unlikely, it was an unlikely situation. I ran
Mhm.
into her at one of the hotels during TIFF. She was doing a press junket,
Mhm.
and we got to know each other. And then she invited me to, I think it was a screening or an event. Then we ended up at Casa Loma, and I met Ben Kingsley there because they had worked together on House of
House
Sand.
of Sand and Fog.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then she said, let's go to this other party. So she said, but just jump in my car. And all of a sudden, these like two huge bodyguards start like searching the car, and they're like, hold on, sir. And they give me the clearance. And I said, what the hell's going on? And she said, because of the film she was in, Stoning of Soraya, she's had
Mm.
death threats. And
Oh my God.
so it was like, so that was like an incredible first meeting. And I always thought, because of her roles, that she was so serious. So like, I approached her with this kind of reverence and respect and everything. And then I realized she's just a big kid, like most amazing actors. She's just so playful and present. And yeah, she had a personal connection to Alzheimer's as well with her dad. So I feel like everybody kind of came to it with some kind of personal connection to it. But she was amazing to work with. Like any kind of like little direction I would give her, she would just run with it. Like even her sitting down with the wine on the couch as she reflects, thinks about the love of her life. She just gives so much just with her eyes. There's no dialogue. It's like completely just a moment, and that's what you get with Oscar-nominated and Oscar-winning actors. You get that.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't even process anything that was going on when she was on screen and she was talking. It's like I couldn't. I was somewhere else. I couldn't. Her voice is just so like.
Is that God? You're like, what's going
Yeah,
on?
no. It's when she's arguing with her niece, with Nina.
Yeah.
Mina. Yeah, Mina.
Mina. I don't know. I don't know what she said. I couldn't. I was just so take it in. It was amazing. What a great casting on that. She was perfect for that.
So I mean,
the Sophia Loren of Iran.
Yeah,
like,
that's very fair.
1,000%.
Walks into a room, she demands that presence. And the strange thing, this is a lesson for all of us. I had dinner with her. I was talking to her about this film, and I said to her, "You moved to America out of tremendous adversity, like life and death situations. You have an accent, new country, new culture, the whole thing. Your voice is so unique. Did you ever think you'd be sitting in that room being Oscar nominated?" And I thought she would say, no, it's a series of like I expected an answer. And
She
she
said yes.
Head in the eyes and says, of course I expected it. And I'm like, what? Like, and it's just like that the power of, manifestation and visualization and just, and the fact that she was so honest about it, I was like, wow, she's special, and it's no coincidence, all her successes. I mean, she's a powerhouse for sure.
For sure. So I mean, you're bringing these powerhouse actors to Brampton, Ontario, and and so like, what's the like when you cast, let's say for example, like Louis Gossett Jr., who's an actor who's been around forever and has worked with literally everyone.
Yeah.
Like, how are you able to compose yourself? Like these are the big leagues. Like it's not like it's a nobody. Like
I just drink.
okay, yeah. I'm glad.
No, yeah. The first time I met him, he was at a hotel in Toronto. He was being honored with something. That was the very first meeting, and it was supposed to be a half-hour meeting. We ended up staying for like 3-4 hours.
Oh,
and he told us all the stories of being in the actor studio with Marilyn Monroe and James Dean and Brando. I mean, there's not a lot of people in the world that can tell those stories.
Yeah.
And so I knew I was in the presence of greatness for sure. But then when I went to meet him in Malibu at his home, I walk in, the first thing I see is a picture of him and the president at the time, Obama. And then he invites me into his family room, and I see the Oscar, I see the poster of Roots, I see the Emmy, I look around, and it's just like, there's that like 30 seconds where I'm like, I'm seriously gonna lose my shit. You know, like we're gonna get
How
through.
do you walk into a house like that?
And he's quiet, like he sits down and he's just kind of like, "What's up?" You know. And there's that awkward few seconds, like, holy Christ, like I'm really, yeah. What am I gonna say to him? And anyway, I just said like my parents made me watch Roots. It changed my life.
Mhm.
It was one of those films that were transcendent in so many ways, and then we just got into the Cuban, talked about life, and then we went out for dinner, and we got to know each other as people. And I just realized how incredible he is, both in attitude and energy, and then the obvious, the talent. When you turn on the camera, you call action, he's going to deliver every time. But as a human being, he just brought so much to me and to everybody on the set. Like he came happy, A game every single day, whether he was feeling tired or not or whatever. I mean, he never complained, and he just brought everybody's spirits up. So, and Shorey had that same sort of infectious, because you know what it's like. If you have one bad apple on set, it just blows.
It ruins everything.
Yeah, it's hard enough, to make film, period. But to have that kind of energy on set is really cool.
Amazing. And I mean, as far as the film script, you've worked with Alessandro Piccioni before, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, so it's a personal film for you on that level, but was it personal from anything? Like, hello?
Repeat that.
Sorry about that.
Repeat the question. Thanks.
Yeah. No. So you mentioned that it was a personal film for you.
In the same spot. What is going on? Chef, this is what you come in with your favorite dish.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
It's all good, man.
Save quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, go.
A personal film for you.
Yes.
She's the original screenwriter.
Yes.
She must have had some sort of, attraction to like want to write a film like this too, because it's not adapted from a novel or anything. It's original.
Yeah.
So what did you guys? I know it's written solely by her, but did you guys speak as far as how the story would go, or?
Yeah. So because I live in the country, I go on a lot of long drives, and it's just one day it just hit me like a lightning bolt, and I just called her and I said, the whole Cuban thing, and I used to have debates with my dad all the time about Cuba, and unfortunately he never got to make it there, and so I had this kind of like love-hate relationship with Cuba. So in the back of my mind there was this curiosity, and so that was one thing. And then the Alzheimer's, I mean, she had older relatives and older parents, so she had it around her and experienced it in her own life. So I think she sort of channeled that and worked that into the script as well. And I think she's a lot more idealistic and hopeful than I am. So she wanted to make a film that was hopeful, uplifting. Like she loves Frank Capra, for example. Like
Nice.
Life is like one of her favorite films. So I think it comes from that. And in some ways, the critics were so kind to us, because I think going through COVID was a traumatic experience that just kind of knocked us all back into reality, and our relationship with our elders and all that kind of stuff. So it was like uplifting, hopeful film, because there were some people that are like, you should make it darker and make it more real.
It had great dark potential. It had like especially its setting, like.
Yeah, it could have gone really dark. I mean, we pulled some of it back. Some of it gets shaped in editorial, right? Like how far do we go? And but ultimately, I'm glad we made the choice to keep it in that kind of fun and uplifting, vein, because that when he breaks out of the nursing home, it's just like it's such a climactic moment, and kind of interesting. He at some point got COVID, and went to the hospital, Lou Gossett, and
Oh wow.
he broke out of the hospital almost in the same way as as it happens in the film.
Wow.
So many interesting things about this movie.
I've seen that happen. I actually, when I
works
was
in a
watching it, I
hospital.
work in a hospital, so I chef on the side, probably not the best combination now. 2 years ago, not so much. Different story. Anyway, um, um, but like just seeing that hospital. I mean, a nursery home and a hospital these days isn't too far off. Just for they're both you're technically institutionalized in both of them. I mean, they're both run exactly the same way. They have the same procedures for everything. So you see it like at the beginning of the movie, you feel for the guy because I mean, they're taking care of him. Yes. Are they taking care of him? Also, no. You know what I mean? Like it's a general care. It's not a specialized care.
It's not like
for the
Mina was
person.
doing essentially in the
Yeah,
film. Like,
exactly.
you know what I mean? Like,
And that happens every day. That
Yeah.
literally happens every
Yeah.
day. I see it every day.
Sometimes bringing compassion to anything
Yeah.
is what's important, and that's what I think. Strangely, the movie came out at a time when we were all thinking about compassion and our collective failure of our relationship with our elders. It's like in some ways we all feel this heaviness, this guilt around that because we've been forced into this world where we're chasing, and there's like 2 household incomes, and like nobody has time to deal with the elders, and so what do? We got to put them in nursing homes, entrusting people, and that and that people are going to do the right thing. Whereas 100 years ago, our elders were at the core of our villages, our communities, and sharing so much. They would sit around the piazza and tell stories. And if you had an issue or you needed advice, you go to the elder. Many cultures share that. And I think recently we've kind of like failed in a way. So having to being forced to look at that, I think was important. And the nursing homes, like we had people on set, like that was shot in a hospice that was no longer active, but it had everything in there still. So it was as authentic as we could be. And we had staff on site who were advising, like this would never happen, or this is how it would be, or and I don't know if you remember that movie Patch Adams, but it's sort of spirit. Sometimes if you sort of like act outside of the box and just lead with compassion, even in healthcare, we can get further ahead.
Yeah. I remember we had a guy that used to just sit in front of the nursing post, and he used to sing. I'm pretty sure he had dementia, but and when his wife would show up, disaster. He was a little Italian old man. They were constantly bickering. The second he was alone, he would sit, he would fold towels, and he would sing. And you could see that he was a different person when he was doing that. Like what you showed in the movie, like that they play music and he gets teleported back, and like he starts remembering all these things, and he feels like a different person. It's a thing.
It is.
It's real. Like, I've seen it countless times, and it's nice to see, because I think that maybe it's something that people don't really see. There's a lot of people that I guess they put grandparents or relatives in old folks homes, and okay, you say that, okay, fine, they're getting the help that they need, and you don't notice, you don't see what goes on in between your once a week visit, and like like the time that they're like sleeping. You don't know what goes on in between that time.
Yeah.
So I think the movie like was good just to shed some light on something like that, especially since now, like you said, with COVID, they're the ones that were the worst hit with that, because not only can, like, at certain points you can't even go visit them. Now that you can go visit them, you want to go visit them. When you had the chance, you weren't going.
True.
Yeah.
That
Well,
is
thanks for that, Tom.
You're welcome. Once in a while, this is the one podcast a year where I actually give that much.
But actually, going back to the fact of the music, so because the core of the film is the music, and I need to, I can't stress enough that the original score and the music is fire. It's incredible. Hilario Duran, who he did all the original music for the film, correct?
Yes. And he
And
collaborated with other incredible artists, but he's the maestro behind it. Yes.
like I remember watching the film and I have my Shazam out and I'm like, oh, what's this? Oh, what's this? And it's the same dude. Every time I would Shazam it, I'm like, okay, so he's obviously the composer of the score. And then I go on like Spotify and I'm like, holy shit, there's a whole soundtrack. I'm like, this is amazing. Like,
That's
Well,
why I
yeah.
think my girlfriend couldn't cry.
because
Because the music, you would see, and the music would come, and you're like, she was at one point, she was dancing. She was dancing. I saw her like moving in place, and I'm like, okay, like, yeah, like, this is great.
Well, that music is so infectious, and that's the charm of Cuba. It just that music encapsulates a culture that's so rich and so uplifting in so many ways. And the lesson is really like they have very little in terms of resources. Like we have everything we want. You can call Amazon or whoever and just have whatever you want within sometimes minutes to days. Whereas in Cuba, you know, sourcing like Parmigiano cheese would take you 3 days. Like you got to go to the guy.
You gotta be hooked up with the underground.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. So the fact that they're so happy and they make it work is incredible. And the music is really a testament to that. And Hilario Duran is a legend. And I have to give credit to our music supervisors, D'Andrea and Michael. So tonight in LA, Quincy Jones is being honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Guild of Music Supervisors.
It's about time.
And the my music supervisors are nominated. So they're, at 8:00 we'll be tuning in to check out this.
Oh wow,
the gala. See if they win. But regardless, I mean, they just work tirelessly. Like I don't think I'm hard on my team, but I do have high expectations, and I keep pushing the bar. You know, as soon as I feel people start to fall into complacency or apathy or, well, it can't be done. Or somebody said to me, manage your expectations. And I was just like, that's just like drives me crazy.
Yeah.
When you start managing your expectations, there's no reason to get out of bed. I mean, so I feel like everybody gave 100% when they could. And now that, the CSAs, there's nominations there. They're working.
Yeah, 2 music nominations actually.
Yeah.
Which
And
is,
he was a legend way before the Cuban. I mean, you go to Cuba, you go anywhere in that Afro-Cuban jazz scene, he's like the best of the best. He's amazing.
now I know who he is, and I'm like, this is crazy. And it was just the fact that I was Shazamming multiple songs. I'm like, this is the same guy. Like I get like, what's going on?
And he's so hard too. If you see him play, I don't know if you've ever seen a prodigy play.
Mm-hmm.
But you're just like, especially because I know you have a background in music, it blows your mind. Like, it's like, how can a human play like that? The first time I saw him, I was just like, it just blew my mind.
And how did you meet up with him? Was he like someone said, oh, you have to get this guy, or did you know of him previously?
I know from Jazz FM and from listening to his stuff on the radio. And then one of the announcers, Walter Van Afro at Jazz FM, said you should talk to Hilario. He's your guy, like in terms of your go-to for all things, Cuban music. And we just happen to have this massive Cuban diaspora in Toronto of world-class musicians who came from Cuba and now they live in Toronto. So we had our pick of the litter. It was like he handpicked everybody in the band and put it together. And we also recorded the music before shooting the film, which was really helpful for me.
Okay.
Because for obvious reasons. So
awesome.
When they're at the end, when that final performance, you don't want it to end. I was like, I'm like, they could have been on. You could have put them on stage for like 47 minutes. I would have continued watching it. It was awesome to see. You see like the Havana Lounge. First of all, how does every city on the planet should have a Havana Lounge like that? If that's what it's like,
I'm sure Montreal has it, man.
It does. It doesn't. It doesn't. It might. Maybe at some point, once COVID's over, you can't get that close to people anymore. But
true.
Like the whole vibe of it was like, even when you would get transported back and like the memories, like the way that they were dressed and the way that they were dancing, it was still the stage. It always had like that vibe. The music always had it's like a timeless feeling. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if it was present day, if it was like 60 years ago. It's a universal feeling with that music, which is amazing.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Cuba?
Yeah.
Yeah. He'd been like he wasn't. Yeah.
Sorry, I should clarify. Have you ever been to Havana? It's different than
Yes.
Yeah. It's so magical. Like,
Yeah.
no wonder Hemingway and so many of the greats went there to find inspiration. It's really, I can't say enough about that whole experience, adversities and all. Like going there,
Oh, it's like falling apart.
our locations, like, you know, being switched on us last second, people not showing up. Like, we went through it all, right? But I think what that did is really put my back against the wall and tested my creativity and patience. And I just learned so much being there. And the art of letting go, you know, like I've just surrendered. When you're like trying to do anything creative, if you try to control it, it's like the worst thing you can do, because then you make it about you. And in Cuba, yeah, you got to put yourself aside and just like figure out how to get shit done and in the most effective way. It was a huge challenge for sure.
The beautiful part of it was whenever there was like the Cuba scenes, I was like, I just remember telling my girlfriend, I'm like, what's amazing about this is that they didn't have to rent like a 52 Bel Air. You know what I mean? You didn't have to like see if there was like a place where you could rent it for the production. They're everywhere. Like everything is just everywhere. It's like, you know, it's like frozen in time over there. It's perfect for that.
The challenge though is like there's on the main streets, like on the Malecon, that shot we're driving along the Malecon, there was like, you know, Hyundais and Mazdas and, you know, all these like new contemporary cars. And then my first AD, who's like a car nut, Paz Nelia, he's like, none of these cars are right. The hubcap's wrong. The engine is wrong.
Yeah.
They're all Frankenstein, right?
Yeah.
So he really went to the ends of the earth to get the most authentic. And they kept bringing these things, and we'd look at them, and then he's like, well, does it start? And they're like, well, you know, he's like, no, we can't use that. We need like authentic that works. So anyway, we ended up with like 5 or 6 that were super authentic, amazing. And they're just so innovative. Like one day we were doing rehearsing the ballet, the dance scenes, and it was so hot. Like the one guy passed out. It was like crazy hot. And we said, is there anybody that has air conditioning? Like, because, you know, we're going to do this driving scene. Does it have air conditioning? He's like, yeah, let me see what I can do. 2 hours later, he shows up in this, I don't know, 1955 Chevy or whatever. And he opens it up and he says, jump in, jump in. I jump in. It's like -20 in there. I said, what the hell?
Oh my God.
You know those trucks, those freezer trucks? They took one of the air conditioning units, shoved it under the dash. It was like this big. And it was like freezing cold. And they just like Jimmy rigged it somehow. But that's Cuba. You know, you can have anything you want. You know, it just takes a little patience and creativity, but they're going to get it done.
Did you have to try and cross the Malecon? Did you try and run across the?
Yeah, many times. Crazy.
How life threatening is that situation?
Scary. Scary. Like, you know what's weird is we were supposed to have cops and permits, and we're like 10 from shooting, and all of a sudden I hear, yeah, we don't have permits, cops. I just overheard it. I was just like, what? What's going on? And it was just weird because the president of the country was at the Hotel Nacional. So like the street was blocked off for like half an hour. And that's when we shot that thing during Magic Hour. So that's what I'm saying. Like all kinds of weird things like that happened. And there was no cars. It was just us, you know, driving. If you look at that shot, it's like literally.
No wonder you would have never been able to get that shot. They wouldn't have stopped traffic for you.
Ever.
The Cubans wouldn't have given a shit.
No. Unless you're Fast and Furious and you show up with 10 million. Then.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Sergio, I'd like to know a bit about you. And I mean,
sure, man.
Like, what film do you remember watching when you were younger and you're like, shit, this is what I want to do? Like a film director or be in the film industry? Or was there one movie that you saw that was like, oh, yep, I got to do this?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of things. Films I had seen as a kid, Italian films. My parents used to take us to this Italian cinema on St. Clair in Toronto. So I remember some of those films. And then later on, I remember seeing Godfather. I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. And I'm just like, wow, that is like a work of art. And what else did I see? I saw films like Serpico that I absolutely and then I saw, you know, a lot of the trashy stuff that we all grew up watching, but those changed my life too. So, you know, it's interesting. As Canadians, we're exposed to all this Hollywood fare, and we grow up watching Hollywood movies, yet we're asked to make Canadian films. It's like, what is that?
We're like America's younger brother.
Yeah. Or boring cousin in the north. Like that's
Yeah,
how
but
Robin Williams described it.
Yeah.
So those are the films. And then, of course, you know, I remember seeing Rambo, and I'm like, man, Americans never die, no matter what, you know, people shooting at the guy and he doesn't die. My parents couldn't stand that, like that, you know, that when Hollywood films would just be so ridiculous that way.
For sure.
But, you know, like films like E.T. and Jaws, those all were life-changing.
The big ones, you know, it always comes down to certain films that you're like, yeah, that's that. Like you can always watch them over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, like this is it. I'm curious that you've seen a lot of Italian films. What would you cite as like a major inspiration for you? That's like that one Italian film.
Well, one major one is 8.5.
Of course.
I can relate to it in so many ways.
Yeah.
There's so many like funny kind of like insider, like, you know, film entertainment business insider jokes or moments that I just laugh at. And I worked with Italians from Italy, like on several projects. So I get all the nuances. And then strangely enough, there was a film that just blew me away, Il Postino, that I with one of my favorite actors, Massimo Troisi. And then I found out that the director, the creator of that film was British, Michael Run. So I'm just like, how does that happen? How did, you know, because it's inauthentic Neapolitan in an ancient dialect. It like captures, you know, all those little nuances of culture that somebody who's never been there would never know. So I imagine he probably spent a lot of time there. But it's just an incredibly impactful film, and so poetic too. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's
yes, I have. I mean, my grandmother obviously she used to have the VHS tape that was just, you know, there because it was like the biggest thing at the time. Like Postino, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of the great. Yeah, it's a rom-com. It's fantastic.
Oh, it's a rom-com. I'm a sucker for rom-com, so there's no problem with
that. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
It's great, and I mean, if ever you're in Montreal, you should hit us up. I mean, we'll
definitely. I can make you a Cubano if you want.
Seriously?
Yeah, yes. 1,000%.
He's
super
like, okay, well,
I'll fresh bread, everything. It'll be
amazing.
Perfect. We could have yuca fries, we could have tostones, we could have whatever you want to have. It's all good.
I love Montreal. I have so many fond memories. My first film, Looking for Angelina, premiered there at Serge Lazic's festival, the Montreal Film Festival. Mm-hmm. In those days, it was just so incredibly vibrant. Like they had the outdoor screenings.
Oh yes,
it was so well attended, and the press was so kind. You know, like I did this whole. It was like tons of press in Montreal. They really got the film, and you know, in some ways, I felt like, you know, the audiences here really get what I'm doing more than you know, audiences in Toronto at the time. So yeah, and then we have so many friends there, and it's just a great city. It's like another country.
Isn't it surprising here, because Montreal is such a, if you think of it, it's so misplaced because it's in a French province. It's the French part of Canada. It's like the Alabama of Canada, and we're like a little dot of ethnic Anglo majority of the entire province, which is insane. And yet stuff still manages to work here. They bitch about language, they bitch about so many things, and it still manages to work.
It's true.
It's so weird. This is such a weird city that we live in.
It's passionate though. You feel it.
Yeah.
You step in. There's either somebody telling you to fuck off or someone telling you they love you. You know, But
in the same sentence. Yeah.
in the same sentence in two different languages.
but you know where they stand culturally, and But the food there is like next level. I just love going to eat there.
Yeah, the food's pretty great here.
Once it opens, first of all, the second restaurants open up, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to take out a loan.
Yeah.
Because I am just dying. I'm just dying to go out. I'm gonna organize like a food trail, just like a restaurant trail, and I'm just gonna gain 47 pounds and just rip through this town.
So is it putting you on the spot, since you're in that business, to say what are your top 3 restaurants in Montreal?
Top 3 restaurants in Montreal. That's actually not as hard as you would think. Definitely number 1. I'm a bit biased because it's a friend of mine, but the food is incredible. Mochione.
Where is it?
It's on Saint Denis and Villeray. It is incredible gastronomical experience. You eat there, you can get hit by a car, it won't matter. You'll be happy. You'll be happy with it. It's fine. That place is absolutely insane. My God. Okay, as that's like my favorite spot in the city, hands down. Second and third, that's a bit more of a toss up because I don't even know if places are open or closed anymore. That's the problem with it.
True.
God, I'm really I'm a big fan of tacos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, I don't know what it is. I'm very into either Asian food or like Latin food, like Latin American food. So I'm big on this place called Tachito. It's fantastic. It's tacos. It's right next to Saint Viator Bagel, Montreal staple. So you can't miss it. And if I'd have to pick a third, I have no idea. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sushi places.
You're not big on sushi place?
No, I am, but there must be sushi places and.
Oh yeah, we have I mean, there's Park, which is like phenomenal for sushi, Antonio Park. But it's also a bit Argentinian. It's like
See, that's the thing about Montreal.
Mix. Everything's mixed here.
There's always a flair. It's like let's go sushi, but it has an Argentinian twist.
Actually, you know what? Ichigo. This place called Ichigo because it's super cool because it's a ramen shop during the day. There's a ramen part of it, and then there's like a Japanese tapas part of it, and it's ridiculous what they do because they fuse some stuff. Like I had like a Japanese carbonara there. That's better than regular carbonara. It's better than that. I was eating it. I'm like, what the hell is this? It's incredible.
You guys are making me hungry, man.
Yeah, no,
I'm pretty hungry.
You're telling me I haven't eaten all day. I'm just drinking this freaking whiskey. This is probably a bad idea.
Funny because I'm doing a thing on Clubhouse, moderating this room on Tuesday, and there's a bunch of people from London and Scotland and America, and we kept joking around about whiskey and scotch. So now next Tuesday we're doing a whiskey tasting and a whole conversation about movies. So they picked a movie, they picked Lion. So we're going to be talking movies and drinking whiskey. It's going to be crazy.
Is it like a specific whiskey? Did they give you a specific one you have to buy?
Yeah, I forgot what I wrote it down, so I have to order it before Tuesday. But I just think, this new climate of doing this virtual, like incorporating food and wine and whiskey tastings, and I just think there's just so much potential here to do so much more than we're used to doing.
We got to think outside of the box now.
Tonight I'm going to be in LA, and my boxers and my it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Sergio, before we let you go, I'm actually curious to know, and I don't know if you can answer this or not, but are you working on your next project or is something in fruition?
Yeah, I mean, if you got anything in Montreal, let me know. I'm available.
Sounds good.
We're gonna do a biopic on Johnny.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want. You got to wait till he's dead, man. You can't reveal all this. I know Montreal. We optioned a book from a best-selling crime author, and we're developing that into a series. It's a true life story.
Cool.
I have a couple of features that I'm looking at. Beautiful documentary film that we're hopefully going to start soon, and then just looking at projects, trying to be inspired. I have a project I want to do in Italy, but I have to wait until things calm down a bit with COVID.
Sure.
But those are kind of the things I have on the short term radar. But
Nice.
as we know, as we've learned in COVID, it could be all those things or nothing. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean, we hope it works out. We want it to work out.
Thank
That would be great. And I mean, like we said earlier, if ever you're in town, we can show you those restaurants that Tom spoke about and have some whiskey in person and
if
just
it's
shoot
if
the
it's
shit, you know,
if it's summertime, my backyard
it's an oasis.
is an oasis.
Where are you?
I'm in Montreal North actually. I'm like it's kind of like I'm kind of like in between residential ghetto, so it's kind of weird. But like my street is like totally apart from that. I feel there's no parkings, but that's
There's never any parking on it.
There's never any fucking parking over here. People need to stop converting houses with and making bachelors. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But we can definitely get 40,000 pounds of food here, whatever the hell you want to eat. So there's no problem with that.
I'd love to, man. And congratulations on Snob. I've been following your stuff on
Thank you.
socials and really great, man.
Really appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you very much. I mean, just a kid that loves movies and entertainment, and now we have a podcast about. We don't even know what it's about.
We don't even know what it's about. We just talk. We just talk about stuff we like.
Yeah,
Oh, that-
essentially. And we get to talk to good people like you, so that's that's cool.
Thank you so much. Thanks for reaching out and having me on.
Yeah, for sure. Sergio Navarretta, thank you so much. His film, The Cuban, is out now. You can stream it, you can buy it, and it'll be streaming on the is this Super Channel, right? Fuse
Super Channel in the US on Showtime, and then of course iTunes and all the other great platforms.
Amazing, Sergio. You've been a gem. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna go eat now. Thank you, Johnny. I
And
really
that's
appreciate
thank
it.
you so much. And that concludes this week's episode of Snobcast. We'll see you all again next week. Take it easy.